ultimate display of obedience, and it's pretty competitive too. Good to see One Man and His Dog back on BBC Two from the Lake District at 10 to 6. Before that, how much can you remember of 2004?
The What the Papers Say Review of the Year 2004 is presented by Andrew Rawnsley of The Observer.
Hello, the British press thrills to the chase, especially when it thinks its prey is wounded and cornered. Of all the quarry pursued by the papers this year, none came bigger than the Prime Minister himself.
Tough week for Blair.
Hell of a week for PM.
Can Blair survive the week?
PM's mother of all weeks.
24 hours in the life or death of a premiership.
If I had £1 for every headline suggesting that Tony Blair was close to eviction from Downing Street, I'd be almost rich enough to buy his retirement home in Connaught Gardens.
The Houghton Report.
1 hour in the den that may seal Blair's fate.
At the beginning of the year, much of the press thought Lord Hutton might be the hanging judge. On the eve of the publication of his lordship's report, The Sun had a scoop, which it presented with characteristic modesty.
World exclusive! Hutton report leaked!
Blair cleared.
Who'n off the hook?
BBC!
At fault.
It was a mystery how The Sun acquired that scoop, a mystery that was never solved. Trevor Kavanagh, the paper's political editor, was right, and jaws gaped in astonishment across the media as journalists had to report that the judge had cleared Tony Blair of absolutely everything.
The Hutton Report.
Blair escapes blame.
Back from the dead.
Triumphant Blair mauls Howard and tells him...
Say sorry for calling me liar.
While the BBC faced humiliation, Mr Blair's position was transformed after a make-or-break 24 hours in which he was not only cleared of wrongdoing over Iraq, but survived a tense Commons vote on tuition top-up fees.
So, with one bound, our hero was free. No, not exactly.
Just when things could not get any worse in Iraq, they do. The systematic torture of prisoners in Abu Ghraib and elsewhere is so poisonous in its symbolism that not even America's mortal enemies could have devised such a PR coup.
The gruesome evidence of the torture of Iraqi prisoners by American guards at Abu Ghraib prison is a political catastrophe for the Prime Minister.
By July, another inquiry into Iraq, this one chaired by former Cabinet Secretary Lord Butler, again had the press pushing the Prime Minister to the edge of the abyss.
Stand by for Blair's next make-or-break week.
The drama unfolded in what was now becoming a familiar fashion. At the beginning of the week, the press proclaimed the Prime Minister's survival was at stake. By the end of it, the same press could only gasp at his staying power.
PM still standing as knockout punches pulled.
The Butler report actually contained very serious criticism of the government.
In a telling phrase, Lord Butler said the intelligence was stretched by the government to the
outer limits.
But Butler hadn't fired a silver bullet. The Houdini of Downing Street had escaped yet again. Or had he? Come the autumn, the chase was back on.
Blair almost quit over...
family stress.
Tony Blair considered quitting this year because
family considerations
were pressing and he was under
colossal strain.
Lord Bragg, the television arts presenter and close friend, said last night.
That fed the frenzy, as did the continuing speculation about his health.
Blair heart shock.
His cardiac flutters had journalists' pulses racing.
Tony Blair's future as Prime Minister was hanging in the balance last night after he revealed that he is having hospital treatment today for a heart problem.
And he revealed he and wife Cherie had bought a £3.6 million London home to move into once he is no longer in Downing Street.
And yet again, the news editor of Number 10 rewrote the headlines by dropping his own sensational story on the press.
To quell fears about his ability to carry on, he announced that he plans to serve a full third term as Premier before quitting. That could take him up to 2010.
Giving the press many, many more weeks to describe as the blackest of Tony Blair's premiership.